am pleased to call to order the June 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Note the presence of all three commissioners, and we'll ask Sheriff Kilkenny to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Got a number of comments this morning. First, and very importantly, I want to acknowledge the tragic loss of life that our county sustained last week as a result of the deadly home explosion in Pottstown. 5 members of our Montgomery County community perished, and 2 individuals remain in critical condition. Our deepest sympathies go out to everyone touched by the physical and emotional damage caused by this horrific incident. Yesterday, I visited the home in the neighborhood along with Senator Bob Casey and Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. We were met by Mayor Stephanie Henrich, Fire Chief Frank Hand, Borough Council President Dan Wien, and a number of neighbors who shared their stories from that night of the explosion. The damage, I'm sure many of you have seen the photos of the damage to the actual twin homes that exploded, but there's substantial damage around the neighborhood and a number of homes that have been impacted by this explosion. I want to thank our first responders for their efforts in responding to this tragedy, including the Pottstown Fire Department and Police Department and Goodwill Ambulance. I also want to thank our own county Department of Public Safety. They set up an incident command post, and our urban search and rescue teams were out there supporting the immediate response. This is going to be a long recovery for the Pottstown community. For anyone who is facing any sort of emotional or mental distress around this incident, I just want to remind you that our mobile crisis unit is available at no cost, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can be reached at 855-634-HOPE, H-O-P-E, or 4673. I also want to announce that the Tri-County Network has set up a fund, a charitable fund, to help the many families that have been impacted by this event. You can find that fund at tcnnetwork.org. That's T like Tom, C like County, and like Network, tcnnetwork.org. Thank you for that. And June, as many of you know, is Pride Month, and immediately following today's meeting, I'll be joining with Commissioner Lawrence and other LGBTQI+ leaders in our community to raise the Pride flag at our county courthouse. We remain committed to creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for both our county employees and the residents that we serve. That includes members of our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex communities. We're proud to stand with our LGBTQI+ community members during Pride Month and all year long, because everyone has the right to be respected, supported, and celebrated, and to feel safe and welcomed and seen as their authentic self in our community. To show our support, the Pride flag will fly at all county-owned buildings during Pride Month, which is the month of June. I hope that many of you will be able to join us after the meeting for our annual Pride flag raising event. If you're not able to make the event, please know that many of our municipalities across the county are having events this week and next, so perhaps you'll have an opportunity to get involved at one of the local Pride flag raisings. And I also want to do something that's very celebratory today, which is to announce that we are now starting a Way to Go Montco effort for our county employees. It's a employee recognition program, and it comes from county employees nominating other county employees for a job well done. To date, more than 55 county employees have submitted nominations singing the praises of their coworkers. Examples include giving high-quality customer service to help a constituent, getting an award for their work, or taking on a special project or task to help out their team. Each month, we will draw 5 employees from the list of nominations to win $150 in their paycheck to recognize them for their work. This month, I'm pleased to announce the first 5 winners. First, we have Tynesha Anderson with our Office of Children and Youth's Finance and Administration team. Their nomination reads as follows. Tynesha deserves a shout out for her responsiveness and dedication to our OCY JPO vendors and for her creative problem-solving skills. It's a much longer nomination for Tynesha, but you'll be able to read the whole nomination in its entirety on our website. And Tynesha was nominated by Lauren Rakowski in the purchasing department. Next, we have Sean Bridges with Clerk of Courts. Their nomination reads, Sean is a tireless worker, always willing to help out where needed. He does just that. He's essentially a utility player in our office, learning quickly with an uncanny ability to do multiple things at once. He is excellent at explaining things for our clients in a way they can understand complex legal issues and possesses amazing people skills. And Sean was nominated by Matt Stamen in the Clerk of Courts. Our third winner is Christian Ocha, who works at our correctional facility. Their nomination reads, Corporal Ocha demonstrates day in and day out what a supervisor should be, whether it's conducting investigations, stopping whatever he's doing to help one of his officers, or pitching in to help do tasks that he doesn't have to do because we're short-staffed. He's always there for his officers. He will always put his officers' safety first. He never instructs us to do anything he is not willing to do or has done himself. He encompasses what I think a supervisor should be. And Corporal Ocha was nominated by Daniel Sweeney at the correctional facility. Next, we have Marquise Stocker Rohr. Their nomination reads, Marquise is a hard-working team player. She displays constant professionalism and goes above and beyond to assist her coworkers and the public. She makes District Court 38-1-19 shine with her hard work and positive attitude every single day. And Marquise was nominated by Elizabeth Homa, another district justice. And finally, we have Rex Saul, who works at Green Lane Park. Their nomination reads, Rex Saul's dedication and detail to his job goes above and beyond every day. Rex helps to make the customer's experience at the park as enjoyable as possible. It might be in the details of his day-to-day work or taking the time to help a park visitor. And Rex was nominated by Mike Barr with Parks. So congratulations to all of our winners. We will be reaching out to you by email with more details. And as a reminder to our employees, nominations remain open. You can visit the employee corner to fill out the nomination form. It only takes a couple of minutes, and your nominee could be our lucky winner next month. And with that, I will turn over to Commissioner Lawrence.
Thank you. Good morning. Today I'll start by providing a brief update on the primary election. Last week, the Pennsylvania Department of State announced a statewide recount for votes cast for the Republican nominee for United States Senate. Our Voter Services Office began the recount yesterday and will continue this week until it is finished. Recount operations include the recanvass of relevant ballots received by mail and rescanning of relevant ballots cast by in-person voters at polling locations. I want to thank our team again for their work to conduct this recount, and I again want to thank everyone who worked the polls on Election Day to hold a safe and secure election here in Montgomery County. On June 6th, the Election Board will meet to certify the primary election. Subsequently, the Board will meet on June 9th to certify the recount. Additional information on the recount and upcoming meeting information can be found at www.montcopa.org/voters. And next, I'd like to recognize that this Saturday is National Trails Day. Taking place on the first Saturday in June, National Trails Day is a day of public events aimed at advocacy and trail service. And here in Montgomery County, we will be holding the official kickoff to our Montco Trail Challenge in Norristown with a special community event, which was rained out last month. Everyone is invited to join this Saturday, June 4th from 9 a.m. to noon. The event will take place at the Trail Junction Center located at 76 East Lafayette Street in Norristown, and free parking is available at the SEPTA Garage at the Norristown Transportation Center. There will be free children's bike helmet giveaways, chalk art, safety demonstrations, and a lot of other family-friendly activities. And we encourage everyone to attend. And as always, to learn more about the Montco Trail Challenge, you can visit www.montcopa.org/trail challenge.
Good morning. I'd also like to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to all the first responders in the greater Pottstown region that responded last week to the home explosion. It was certainly tragic, and my prayers go out to all the families that have lost loved ones. And I'd also like to thank the numerous service providers and nonprofit organizations that partner with Montgomery County to help families in times of need. And just over the course of this past week, I had the opportunity to support some of those organizations, one of which is Mission Kids, that does great work partnering with law enforcement agencies to assist with forensic interviewing skills for children that suffer from child abuse. And they opened a new site in Upper Pottsgrove this week, and I was proud to celebrate their new opening and the important work that they do for our communities. And also recently, the Laurel House, their new location for shelter housing for domestic violence abuse victims, that's located in Upper Gwinnett Township. So we're blessed here in Montgomery County to have such brave emergency responders. The staff in our public safety department did an excellent job last week responding to the incident in Pottstown, and also the partners we have to work to serve the constituents here in Montgomery County. So everyone's been busy this past week, and I'd just like to take a moment to thank you all for your service.
Thank you. All right, we will move next to public comment on matters appearing on today's agenda. Mr. Stein, you want to read the rules for public comment, please?
Absolutely. Good morning. All speakers who are physically present should sign into the sheet available in the back of the room or virtually as indicated by Ms. Co-Francisco. All speakers should come to the podium if they are physically able. Speakers should identify themselves by name and municipality. All public comments must be relevant or germane to county business. Under the law, this means that the subject matter of all comments must be limited to items or issues which are currently before the Commissioners for consideration or which may come before the Commissioners for consideration at a future meeting. Whether matters germane to county business is a determination to be made by the county solicitor. A time limit of 2 minutes will be monitored, and county staff will respectfully request speakers to conclude their comments if the speaker goes beyond the time allotted. The board is not required to respond to public comments during the course of the meeting, so the public is reminded this is not an opportunity for dialogue or questions and answers. The board chair may direct appropriate county staff to follow up on any questions or additional comments after the meeting. Disruptive behavior, including but not limited to yelling from the seats, arguing whether matters germane to county business once the solicitor has made a determination of such, or refusing to yield the floor once time has elapsed and being requested to sit down, shall be grounds for removal or muting from the meeting without further admonishment or warning. And as always, the Commissioners welcome written correspondence, comments, and feedbacks to commissioners@montcopa.org.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Okay, so again, we will start with public comment on matters on today's agenda, and then that will be followed by general public comment. Ms. Co-Francisco?
It appears we have just general public comment today.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to general public comment, and we'll start with the folks in the room.
Correct. First up is Marilyn Muir.
Good morning.
Morning. Marilyn Muir, Lower Salford Township. I am commenting on the COVID update presented by Christina Miller during the May 19 Commissioners meeting. I found Ms. Miller's presentation misleading and fear-mongering. Ms. Miller's levels and indicators chart for admissions and beds occupied did not specify the age or original health status of these patients. Were these patients given proven effective early treatment upon the COVID diagnosis or left to follow CDC protocol to do nothing until their health had deteriorated to critical? Ms. Miller then recommended masking and vaccination. I am going to share with you the relevant portions of an editorial written by Russell L. Blaylock, a retired neurosurgeon, Theoretical Neuroscience Research, LLC, original in Mississippi, published in Surgical Neurology International. The title of the editorial, COVID Update, What is the Truth? All the information in Dr. Blaylock's editorial has references cited on the last page of the document. The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most manipulated infectious disease events in history, characterized by official lies in an unending stream led by government bureaucracies, medical associations, medical boards, the media, and international agencies. Protocols are not being formulated based on the experience of the physicians treating the largest number of patients successfully, but rather individuals and bureaucracies that have never treated a single patient, including Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, Echo Health Alliance, the CDC, WHO, state public health officers, and hospital administrators. Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the most cited experts in his field, has successfully treated over 2,000 COVID patients by using a protocol of early treatment, which the so-called experts completely ignored. Neither Anthony Fauci, the CDC, WHO, nor any medical governmental establishment has ever offered any early treatment other than Tylenol, hydration, and call an ambulance once you have difficulty breathing. Was this the advice given to those patients who are statistics in Ms. Miller's chart? Thank you.
Okay, next we have Minga Yu.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ming Shu from Hatfield Township. Ms. Miller and the CDC also recommend masking. Scientific studies have proven masking is not beneficial and, in fact, detrimental to health. Dr. Blaylock continues, the draconian measures established to contain the contrived pandemic have never been shown to be successful, such as masking the public, lockdowns, and social distancing. A number of carefully done studies during previous flu seasons demonstrated that masks of any kind have never prevented the spread of the virus among the public. Within a few minutes of putting on a mask, a number of pathogenic bacteria can be cultured from the mask, putting the immune-suppressed person at a high risk of bacterial pneumonia and children at a higher risk of meningitis. A study by researchers at the University of Florida cultured over 11 pathogenic bacteria from the inside of the mask worn by children in schools. It was also known that children were at essentially no risk of either getting sick from the virus or transmitting it. In addition, it was also known that wearing a mask for over 4 hours, as occurs in all schools, results in significant hypoxia, that's low blood oxygen levels, and hypercapnia, that's high carbon dioxide levels, which have a number of deleterious effects on health, including impairing the development of the child's brain. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Rose Gannon.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. Rose Gannon, Worcester Township. Since the county is advocating vaccines, I'd like to just point out some additional information, and I'm actually quoting from Dr. Blaylock. There are potential dangers of the vaccines, and it's been revealed by science. While most researchers, virologists, infectious disease researchers, and epidemiologists have been silenced, a growing number of high-integrity individuals with tremendous expertise have come forward to tell the truth. Most new vaccines go through extensive safety testing for years before they are approved. New technologies such as mRNA and DNA vaccines require a minimum of 10 years of careful testing and extensive follow-up. These so-called vaccines were tested for actually only 2 months, and then the results of these tested safety tests were and continue to be kept secret. Testimony before Senator Ron Johnson by several who participated in the 2-month study indicates that virtually no follow-up of the participants who participated in the of the pre-release study was done. Complaints of adverse effects were ignored, and despite promises by manufacturers such as Pfizer that all medical expenses caused by as a result of the vaccine testing would be paid by Pfizer, and these individuals have stated that none were covered, and some medical expenses have exceeded $100,000. So I'm here to just offer that as a perspective, as we all, including anyone who's in science, is open to discussion about it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have Barb Berman.
Good morning.
Good morning. I also want to pray for those people in Pottstown that had that tragedy on them. Barb Furman, New Hanover Township. I have followed researchers, and I speak on the report from Public Health on May 19th. Here is another perspective. Children should be off limits because of the lack of long-term studies. I referenced Dr. Blaylock's article. Hot lots, deadly batches of the vaccines. A new study has now surfaced, the results of which are terrifying. A researcher at Kingston University in London has completed an extensive analysis of the VAERS data, in which he grouped reported deaths following the vaccines according to the manufacturer's lot numbers of the vaccines. Vaccines are manufactured in large lots, batches called lots. What he discovered was that the vaccines are divided into over 20,000 lots, and that 1 out of every 200 of these lots is demonstrably deadly to anyone who receives a vaccine from that lot, which includes thousands of vaccine doses. Incredibly, we were told that the Pfizer mRNA had been approved by the FDA, which was a clever deception, in that another vaccine had approval, Comirnaty, and not the one being used. The approved Comirnaty vaccine was not available in the U.S. The national media told the public that the Pfizer vaccine had been approved and was no longer classed as experimental. These deadly lies continue. It is time to stop this insanity and bring these people to justice. Are these the experimental drugs Christina Miller, an administrator from the Office of Public Health and not a healthcare professional, are recommending be injected into our children? Is this information new to you? There is much more information included in Russell Blaylock's editorial. I am providing you a copy of this document. I hope you will read it and educate yourselves. Thank you.
Next, we have Pauline Braccio.
Well, actually, you can. Why don't you hold on to those? I mean, if you want to provide anything to the secretary, you can.
Hi, good morning. Pauline Braccio from Talmenton Township. I also am going to be talking about this insanity about vaccinating the kids. More COVID cases in kids who got 2 shots compared to those who got none. That is from the CDC itself. Let me read that again. There are more COVID cases in kids who got the shots compared to those who did not get any shots. Here's a little graph. The red line are the kids who received the shots. The blue line are the kids who did not get any shots. You can see the red line is much higher for the COVID cases. Also, vaccinated people, this is from Scotland, okay? So that in that country, vaccination status, cases, hospitalizations, deaths, okay? In every category, the vaccinated did worse. In deaths, 79.5% died who were vaccinated, fully vaccinated. And 20.5% are deaths from people who had no vaccination. And you can see that right here. It's easily illustrated. The orange is the vaccinated, the blue is the unvaccinated. So why you continue to lie about this is just really unbelievable to me. Also, I don't know how you can put on your medical license that you were a surgeon when you renewed your medical license. You were not a surgeon, you were an anesthesiologist. So that really, really hurts your credibility, besides the lying that you're doing about the COVID and the vaccines. And I heard a commercial on my way here, pushing the vaccine, sponsored by Pfizer. Wow, how convenient is that? Thank you.
Next, we have Dulcie Flaherty.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am here with my colleagues from the Montgomery County Planning Commission to present to you a report that we were so pleased to be able to complete, and thank you for your funding support for the Return on Environment. It is a report showing that our investment in green, healthy, connected communities is not only good for our souls, for our bodies, it's also good for our bottom line. We know that our citizens of Montgomery County enjoy our parks. They're out there, especially in the past several years with COVID. They're out there with family and with friends, and they're at our parks, our trails, and enjoying just natural green spaces. We now recognize that not only do we see that our county tax dollars can be used for things that do not get used up and do not go away, but that green on those trees is good economic investment. So at appropriate time, we're going to be presenting our report, and we hope that you will endorse it and that our county will continue to be a leader in these wonderful trails and open space that make our community such a great place to live, work, and invest.
Next, we have Sheriff Kilkenny.
Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. Sean Kilkenny, Jenkintown Borough. Commissioner Arkoosh, commissioners, I want to thank you, Lease Soltani and Barbara O'Malley, for listening to our office's concerns about deputy compensation and the effect on retention and recruitment. As you know, our office is down several deputies with few new applications in the last 2 years. With courts coming back to pre-COVID COVID operations, I'm concerned that our deputy shortage may begin to affect public safety. You deserve credit for reaching out to a union who represents my deputies and discussing potential plans that are in the works that may implement hazardous duty pay and recruitment bonuses to supplement deputy compensation, which of course will ultimately have to be ratified by the union. That being said, this is not enough to be competitive in battling the retention and recruitment crisis. Our office has become a revolving door. Over the last 5 years, the average new deputy stays at our office 15 months. And of those months, about 6 are allocated to entry-level training. Our neighbor, Delaware County, recently raised starting deputy salaries with the same union, AFSCME, to $50,000. While the average household income in Delaware County, per the 2020 census, is 22% less than our county. A starting salary of $42,000, which is currently our collective bargaining agreement starting salary, is simply not enough to recruit and retain highly trained law enforcement professionals in our county. I ask that in the upcoming budget process that you raise the base salary of our deputies to a competitive level. And just as an aside, Deputy Cash over here, who I was speaking to, is protecting us today for the meeting. He's about to leave our office. Loves working in our office. He'll talk to you about how he loves working in the office. And he thanked me for speaking on this issue today. Because he's going to have to leave because he has a salary starting at around $60,000 at another agency. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and hope that you take action in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.
Okay, that concludes in-person public comment. We'll now move online. First, we have Chad Chesterfield. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, how's it going? Hello?
Good morning, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Is anyone there?
Yes.
Hello?
Start talking.
Can you message him, Kayleigh?
Yeah.
Is anyone able to hear me there? Hello?
Yes, we do hear you.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, this is Chad Chesterfield. I'm just here in Pennsburg. I was going to bring up a little bit of a different issue today, sort of along the lines of what we discussed previously, but there's new studies coming out, particularly out of Stanford is one that I find interesting, that discusses COVID. It's not only spreading in the ways that we like. There's the aerosols, there's the surface contacts, but there's also studies showing that it can be spread it can last for months and be spread months down the line in fecal matter. Now, where I live here in Pennsburg, we do have a lot of older Amish peoples that use the roadways, and it's great. It's great to see them out there in the community. However, I'm just getting a little bit concerned that with all the equine fecal matter that we do see on the roads, and with our rising COVID numbers, I'm worried that something's going to have to be done. Now, I don't know what that would look like if you guys could look at some sort of legislation potentially, or maybe just education and getting, people to willingly maybe find certain areas where they could get their horses to defecate, or just generally not on the roads, or even if they could somehow pick it up and like people do with dogs. It just concerns me with this new study. It just came out about a month ago to Stanford that the virus can survive in feces for as long as 7 months is what we're seeing. And with all the news about the equine coronaviruses and horses that are able to spread as well as bovines and other zoo animals. I was just reading about some of the major zoos that are vaccinating animals. I'm just really concerned that we're missing out on this this area. I know a lot of people walk the roads here. It's not, some of them aren't the most common, but even areas with sidewalks, we'll see feces a lot of times. And I'm just worried that could be contributing to our higher COVID numbers here in Pennsburg. But that was my 2 cents. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will go to Kim Henderson. You can unmute yourself.
Good morning, Kim Henderson, East Norton Township. I just wanted to first offer a prayer this morning. Heavenly Father, please come into our public space and please bless all of our administrators, all of our commissioners here. Please bless our sheriff who is in the building today. Thank you so much for your service, Sheriff Kilkenny. And for all of our sheriff, all of our first responders out on the roads, for all of our folks in Pottstown Borough who were first responders and who suffered the consequences of the explosion. I just offer that prayer. Heavenly Father, in your name, amen. Second, I wanted to just visit the election process that we are still heavily enthralled in here. And I just wanted to read from the website, if I can get it up here. The part that has me a little bit concerned this morning, I believe it was Commissioner Lawrence who mentioned about the recount, which started on June 1st. I want to move my screen, my apologies. The part that I'm concerned about is not only will they be re-scanning, they're going to re-canvass relevant ballots received by mail. Oh, my technology is not working that great. The major concern that I have this morning is that there will be manual adjudication of ballots. And I would have thought that process would have been completed already. It seems that our portion of the election goes on for weeks at a time. And I understand that there's the challenge with McCormick and Oz and the Republican committee, but everything else, in my opinion, should be completed already. And we're seeing that there's still a potential of adjudicating ballots. I'm going to make a right to know about that. And then the last thing, I made a right to know that keeps getting extended by 30 days, and that's just concerning. We should have answers sooner than that. Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our public comment.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. I'll move to approve the May 19th, 2022 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we have our annual opioid awareness billboard winners. Neda Soltani, from our overdose data to action coordinator. Good morning.
Hello. Hi. So this year, our winner for this competition, so basic background on this competition, we have this open to all middle schoolers and high schoolers in the county, and we asked them to create a prevention message around opioid misuse prevention and abuse prevention. As some of us may already know, our overdose rates across the country are quite high. Montgomery County is no exception, and the majority of those overdoses involve an opioid. And one path to heroin abuse and opioid abuse in general are prescription opioids. So this competition specifically focuses on abusing prescription opioids. And this year, our winner is Sally Beth McClaskey from Turkey Omen Middle School. Sally Beth is a 8th grader at that school, and she is in fact our youngest competitor this year. So I wanted to point that out because I thought that was pretty cool. I will go ahead and share her piece. I think it really hit all of our points very well. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So I asked students to create a positive message, very positive, and to also include the help hotline. So it's 1-800-662-HELP. So if you know anyone who may be struggling with any kind of addiction, this is a good resource to call, and they help you kind of sort out what your treatment options may be, and will connect you to more local resources. This is a national hotline, but that is Sally Beth's winning piece. We had 16 submissions this year. We have our 2nd place and our 3rd place, which I will also show. 1 second, so sometimes a little tricky here, the computer. 1 moment. So we have our 2nd place here. This is Caroline from Plymouth White Marsh High School. Oh, excuse me, and Angelina Gallegos, a 10th grader from Plymouth White Marsh. Again, great graphics, well done. And then I will show our other piece, which also was awesome. Which was this one. This is Caroline's, also from Plymouth White Marsh High School. And this is a part of our larger effort to, this was one way to get our younger people involved in our overdose prevention efforts. We have many other efforts that I could talk about forever, but I won't. If anyone's interested in learning about that, they can always reach out to me. I'm not sure, I think Sally Beth was going to be attending in person with her mother today as well. I don't know if she made it or not, but if she wanted to come up and say anything about her piece. But that's all. That's all for my spot.
Sally Beth, are you here? Is that you? Oh, great, terrific. Well, welcome. Thanks, Neda. Congratulations. We're very excited for you. And usually there's some teachers that helped you along the way too. So if you'd like to come up to the podium and just share what motivated you to come up with the design that you did. Good morning.
Good morning. So I knew there were quite a few people in our school who were going to start the project, but I don't think a lot of us had time, so I worked on mine mostly with our fine arts teacher, Ms. Olson. And I did a lot of it outside of school and some of it inside of school during our free periods that I had. So one of my main goals with the poster was to bring across a message that wasn't very abrupt and not not necessarily wanting to like make people shy away from it. So I tried to write something that wasn't like threatening. That's why I wrote Recovery Can Start with the Call, because it's more of a hopeful, welcoming message.
I think it's great. It's very not assertive, I guess. Like some of the other ones are very kind of in your face a little bit. So that's terrific. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate that you did that. And Ms. Soltani, can you talk a little bit about how this will be displayed around the county?
Yeah, so we have some spots in Pottstown, Norristown, and Collegeville. They're going to be on posters, which are basically like billboards, just ever so slightly smaller.
Great, good. And will it rotate around? I know in other years we've had them rotating around to different locations.
So in past years, we've had them on digital billboards. This year, they're going to be on standing. They won't be rotating because they won't be digital.
Okay, so it'll be like a fix. That's great. So it'll actually be more visible probably in some ways. Great. Well, congratulations. Did you get out of school today to come here?
I just left school early.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for bringing her. I hope you're really proud of your daughter. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Neda.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Next, we will have an announcement from our Public Defender Advisory Board, or I'm sorry, from our Nominating Committee about our Public Defender Advisory Board. And joining us this morning is Dr. Vernon Ross and the Honorable Joseph Walsh, who are from our Nominating Committee. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you very much. So I'm Vernon Ross, and I live in West Norton, and I've lived there for 14 years. And I've had the wonderful experience of serving on this nominating committee since early April, and it has been a marvelous experience working with the 4 other individuals that makes up the nominating committee. This committee was tasked to begin the process to establish an independent advisory board of the County Public Defender's Office. And so today I just want to announce that we are now moving forward, leveraging a recommendation contained in a May 2021 report developed by Temple to move forward to solicit nominees for the county's advisory board. And we are hopeful and encouraging everyone who thinks they might be a good fit to please take advantage of applying to be a member of the advisory board. I'll now turn it over to Honorable Josh.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for having me today. Cornerstone in the American justice system is the right to a free and fair access to the judicial system. Unfortunately, that's not always the case in reality. So the Public Defender's Office plays a crucial role in the system. When I had the opportunity and the privilege to sit as a judge across the street in the criminal division, I saw day to day what the public defenders brought to the table within the courtroom. So I applaud our current Public Defender's Office. They do a tremendous job here. I applaud Montgomery County for trying to be on the cutting edge here in developing this advisory board, because as you know, under Pennsylvania state law, with the exception of Philadelphia County, the Public Defender's Office is directly sort of beholden to the county officials in terms of hiring the public defender, the chief public defender, HR matters, basically the budget, everything is run through the county, unlike the district attorney's office, who is an elected and independent official. So pursuant to the recommendation from Temple Law School Social Justice, the Schellers Social Justice Center, you enacted this nominating committee, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve on it. It's the goal of this nominating committee to put together the advisory board. We have an application which we have developed as a committee, which is online, and we hope and encourage people to submit applications. We're looking for diversity on the advisory board, not only racially and ethnically, but also economically, professionally. We're looking for attorneys. We're looking for community leaders. We're looking for former clients of the Public Defender's Office who had an experience, you know, and unfortunately maybe had a rub with the criminal justice system and went through the Public Defender's Office, and they would have some insight to share on the advisory board. I think initially we're probably looking for about 9 members for the advisory board, but that can change over time. But again, we're looking for as many qualified individuals to apply. I know I've had a number of attorneys already reach out to me and say that they were interested in applying. So I don't think we're going to have a shortage of qualified individuals for this. So I do want to, in closing, just acknowledge the other members of the committee. You heard from Dr. Vernon Ross. We also have Keir Bradford Gray, who I believe everybody should know as being the former Chief Public Defender, and she's just a rock star. It was great to work with on this committee. Just had a great deal of insight in her dealings, not only here, but also in Philadelphia County. We have Anna Durbin, who's a criminal defense attorney in Montgomery County and from Lower Merion. We have D. Gerald May, NAACP, the Ambler branch president, is on the committee, as well as myself and Dr. Ross. We appreciate the great support that you gave us from the county employees in pulling together our Zoom meetings and facilitating our discussions and pulling together the application. So thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity to serve on the committee.
Well, thanks to both of you for this work. This has been a critical initiative for the county, one that we have been working on for a while. And as Judge Walsh pointed out, we're in a very unique circumstance here in Pennsylvania. We are the only state in the country at this point whose public defender's offices are funded through county government. Every other state has seen fit to fund the Office of the Public Defender directly from the state budget. So we're in a very unique circumstance here in Pennsylvania. And our Office of the Public Defender does a fantastic job. We have just incredibly dedicated, highly effective professionals in that office. And we fully stand behind their mission, which is to educate and divert individuals from the criminal justice system, first and foremost, to provide a robust defense of their clients, those who are justice involved, and who also have as very much part of their mission to create a reentry system for those returning citizens to make sure that they do so with as many supports and services in place to allow them to be successful as possible. And in the furtherance of the support of that strong work, we want to make sure that this office operates with the best possible practices. Look to Temple for some guidance on how to do that. And the goal here with this advisory board is to balance the office's independence with the county's oversight role that we're statutorily required to provide here in Pennsylvania. So the creation of this advisory board will be the first step in that, and we want to thank the nominating committee for creating this process. The nominating committee came together and they were charged with creating the process for application for the advisory board members. They will continue on to review those applications, and then they will recommend to the commissioners a group of individuals to serve on the advisory board. So we look forward to those next steps, and we will continue on then with the advisory board once it's in place. And one of their first charges will be to offer recommendations for a permanent chief defender of the current office. So thank you, and I don't know, Commissioner, do you have any comments?
Dr. Ross, Judge Walsh, thank you for being here this morning, but thank you for, I know you've put in a lot of time on this, and I want to thank all the committee members for that. We're looking forward to moving into that next phase. We'll help promote that as well, but thank you for your commitment to this important work.
And I guess maybe just shortly, and then I'm sorry, Commissioner Gale, did you have any? Okay. Where can people find the application? Is there a, maybe Kelly can help us with that, yeah.
It will be on the homepage of the Montgomery County website later today.
Okay, so people can go to montcopa.org, and on the homepage, there'll be a link. Okay, perfect, great. All right, well, thank you, and please express our thanks to the rest of the committee. I know others had conflicts and couldn't get here today. Your work has really only just begun, so I know you've got several weeks of work here to do as you review these applications, but this work is so important to our county and to our community. You know, I think the bottom line here is we want to make sure that every community member understands and trusts that they are getting the most robust defense possible, regardless of their ability to pay, and that that defense is free from any interference, whether it's judicial or political. and creating as much independence for our Office of the Public Defender is a very fundamental step in assuring that trust in the office. So thank you for this very important work.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dortone.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
You'll advance. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, planning's underway for the new money borrowing that is included in the 2022 budget. This new capital funding will help fund our 2022 capital projects that are included in the capital project budget and shown in great detail on the county's website. Approval of the bond ordinance that's in front of you today will allow the county's financing team to take the necessary steps to complete the proposed financing over the next 60 days. Next slide, please. With us today, we have the county's financing team, Suzanne Mays serving as bond counsel, Dan Kozloff, financial advisor, and John Crotty, also on the financial advisors team with PFM. Next slide. So before I talk about the new financing, I just wanted to recap some of the new money bond issues that we did in recent years, going back to 2017. And you'll recall back then the county had approved the new motor vehicle registration fee. So what we did in that bond issue was we actually allocated funds to road and bridge projects that would be funded. The debt service for those funds would be funded through the MVR registration fees that come into that fund. So back then we issued about $50 million, $35 million went to the capital projects fund, and then 15 was allocated to the road and bridge projects. That particular bond issue priced on average, the true interest cost was about 2.93%. Next slide, please. 2 years later, we went back to market on another new money bond issue to fund the capital plan, and again, the road and bridge capital plan with the MVR funds. This bond issue provided about $42 million to fund the capital improvement program, and then another $12.4 million for the MVR fund. That particular bond issue priced at about 2.95%. So, next slide, please. The most recent bond issue, which you'll recall 2021, again, we did two series. This was a much larger bond issue with some of the bigger infrastructure projects coming online and the Justice Center. With that particular bond issue, we had about $94 million allocated for the capital improvement program and about $13 million for the road and bridge program. So that one obviously priced a lot lower at 1.95%. I'm pretty sure they were record low rates that we experienced. I remember the presentation that Dan provided, which was really a great opportunity at the time. Current market conditions, everyone knows it's a volatile financial market, ups and downs, as the days and weeks go on. So we have been monitoring the market, and PFM does that directly with their group, and have been providing us updates, that we've incorporated into our planning, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so that's just a recap of the new money that we've borrowed over the last several years. Next slide, please. So turning to our new need, and before I go to that, we still have bond proceeds from the 2021 bond issue on hand. There's about $18 million for the capital projects and about another $12 to $13 million for the MVR fund, which we think will get us through the remainder of this year for the MVR fund. But with the capital fund, the $18 million likely will be spent by the time we close on this bond issue at the end of July. As you can see, the overall budget plan that was adopted for 2022 included approximately $245 million of overall spending, which there's several different sources of funding that fund these projects, but the three major functional areas are the county campus plan, assets and infrastructure, and the planning commission. Next slide, please. So to break it down, with the, as I said, the expenses that are projected on a budgetary basis are approximately $245 million for 2022. And of that, about 31 would come from grant funds, another 49 from other sources and fund balance that existed in the beginning of the year, and then about 165 million of county funding, which is 100% of bond proceeds. Could you just click Kelly once? Click on that. Yeah, there you go. And just, to show the breakdown, as I mentioned, the three major functional areas, the county campus plan, which includes the Justice Center, our planning commission projects, and then assets and infrastructure, are really the majority of the spending in this particular year. Next slide, please. Thank you. So turning to this bond issue, we are estimating a need of about $175 million. That will help us get through the remainder of this year and then take us into 2023, and carry us into a new budget year where we do anticipate a new money bond issue will be required to continue with the funding of the 5-year plan. We'll know more about that after we get through the budget process in the summer months and see what the updated capital project numbers look like, and we'll be talking more about it. However, we did anticipate a new money bond issue of this level in the current year's budget. There was debt service allocated in the general fund of about $4 million. That may not be necessary because of the timing of this particular bond issue. We thought we were going to go to market a little bit sooner, like towards the end of Q1. This particular bond issue's going to close at the end of July, so it'll be likely that our first debt service payment will kick in the beginning of 2023. So that'll be in the new budget that'll be proposed later this year. Next slide, please, Kelly. So as I mentioned, planning, has been underway. We've been working with the financing team. With approval from the board today on the bond ordinance, we will be moving very quickly and get ourselves ready to go in front of Moody's and present to hopefully reaffirm the county's AAA bond rating. That's scheduled around June 16th. Then we'll prepare our preliminary official statement that'll be issued around June 20th. The competitive bond sale for this series is targeted for the end of June. We'll wait, from PFM to give us more guidance on the exact date, and we'll brief the board as we get to closer to that point. Once the bond sale is complete, we will formally report out the results at the board meeting on July 7th. PFM will give a formal presentation on that, and closing will typically occur 30 days after the bond sale, so that'll be about the end of July. So that's how you get a bond sale done in 60 days.
Great. Anyone else want to speak or want me to go ahead and get the motion on the floor? Okay. I will move that the Montgomery County, Board of Commissioners authorizes the issuance of general obligation bonds, Series 2022, in the aggregate amount not to exceed $197,500. The proceeds of which shall be used to fund a portion of the capital projects contained in the county's capital plan. The proceeds of these issuances shall also be used to pay the costs and expenses of the issuance of the bonds in a form and according to those terms and conditions which are stated in the documents that shall accompany this ordinance and shall be made publicly available, and which shall be transmitted to the Department of Community and Economic Development for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board questions or comments? Oh.
Yeah, it's 197 million.
Right.
It says 1,000. Yes.
It's okay.
Good pickup. All right. So for clarification, the amount not to exceed $197,500,000. Okay. Very good. Thank you all very much. And it's a big undertaking. And Dean, I just want you to, for the public's knowledge, just to put into some perspective for our constituents. how this level of borrowing is viewed in terms of the county's overall budget, by best sort of practices by Moody's. Are we well within, with a budget of our size, the amount of borrowing that we're doing?
Yeah, so, with Moody's, they are analyzing the county annually, even if we're not in front of them, for a new money bond issue. So, and when we're presenting to them, we're telling them about our financial position, what our future plans are, and so forth. So, our borrowing levels are, well within the benchmarks that would be expected by Moody's, even slightly below, I'd say, at the moment. But we do have, more pressure, to borrow for our capital plan to get some of these larger, critical projects complete. So the answer to the question is we're in a good spot with Moody's at the moment.
So I want to thank Ms. Mays, President O'Connor, and obviously PFM for all your work on this. I know this one's been a little more, with rising interest rates and other things, a little more complicated than some of our more recent issuance.
Yeah. And as I said, we will, as a team, continue to monitor the markets and provide the board with weekly updates, as we get closer to the sale date.
Yes, I have comments. The new money bond issuance before us today reflects more spending, more debt, and will lead to more taxes. And I believe our financial action should reflect limited spending, limited debt, and limited taxes. And clearly from the presentation today, the most expensive capital project before us in Montgomery County is the new construction of the Justice Center, which is in fact the most expensive capital improvement project in the history of Montgomery County. And this is something I've been against. I believe it's entirely too expensive, and that's why I oppose every contract award related to the construction, design, and engineering of the County Justice Center. And when I make these decisions of borrowing, a new money borrowing of $175 million, I think of how it impacts the people actually paying for this, and that's the taxpayers across Montgomery County. And right now, during these times, there's senior citizens being taxed out of their homes. There's families dealing with record high levels of inflation costs, and they're struggling. And I can't justify borrowing more money that will lead to more taxes in the future. This year, the Montgomery County property owners are hit with a higher tax increase than were last year. Practically every year since I've been a county commissioner, there's been property tax increases. And this is exactly why we're spending entirely too much money. To spend over $400 million, close to $500 million on a construction project across the street is not fiscally responsible. And I can't leave this meeting today and face the constituents I represent and tell them I'm being fiscally responsible as their county commissioner by supporting this. So I'll be objecting to this new money borrowing.
All right, Ms. Washington, roll call vote, please.
Chair Arkoosh.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawrence.
Aye.
Commissioner Gale.
Opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Dortone. Dean. All right, Ms. Silver, is she here? No. Is she in line?
She's here.
She's here.
She's here? Oh, sorry. Didn't see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners and staff. Kayleigh Silver, Administrator for the Montgomery County Office of Housing and Community Development. In accordance with federal regulations, my office, again, the Montgomery County Office of Housing and Community Development, has prepared a draft 2022 Annual Action Plan for Community Planning and Development. This document is a requirement for the direct assistance we receive under certain U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, funding programs we receive. And that includes the Community Development Block Grant Program, or CDBG, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, also called HOME, and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, or ESG. Additionally, as you'll see here, we include in the plan funding for projects to be allocated through the local Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the Housing Reinvestment Partnership Program, and the Homeless Assistance Program, or HAP, out of the state's Human Services Block Grant, as well as reallocated dollars out of an additional round of CDBG funding we received to help us respond to the coronavirus pandemic. So that's the CDBG CV that you see there. So on the screen, you see a summary of the funding we receive, and I'm going to describe a little bit more in detail now. So the draft annual action plan, which will be posted in full and available to the public starting Monday, describes the way we propose to utilize the funding seen here. Through your resolution, this plan will be made available for public review and public comment starting Monday, June 6th through July 6th, 2022. Citizens may review the full plan by visiting www.montcopa.org, navigating to the Montgomery County Office of Housing and Community Development, then clicking Reports and Notices. Or a more direct way to view the plan starting Monday is to visit the URL www.montcopa.org/reports-notices. We will post these instructions as well on our website and social media accounts. Once reviewing the plan, citizens may submit their comments about our proposed funding allocations, either through the mail, telephone, or via email. Comments will be received again through end of business July 6, 2022. Comments submitted by mail should be addressed to myself, Kayleigh Silver, Administrator, at the Office of Housing and Community Development, P.O. Box 311, Norristown, PA 19404-0311. Again, this will be posted on our website, or via email to me at ksilver@montcopa.org. That's KSILVER@montcopa.org. And again, instructions will all be posted. We will also be holding an open virtual public hearing to receive comments on this plan, which will take place on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. To register for this public comment session, please call my office at 610-278-3540. Further opportunities to register will also be available via postings on our website as well as our social media accounts in the upcoming days and weeks. The purpose of the annual action plan is to establish reasonable bases for housing and community development assistance in our community. At this date, Montgomery County expects to receive and allocate funds as follows. So if Kelly, could we pull up the other attachment, please? So we're going to start with our Community Development Block Grant Funding, or CDBG. And you'll see here in a minute, there's $3,752,163 proposed in CDBG funds. And the list of projects are listed here. And they include projects for housing rehabilitation, public facilities and infrastructure in our municipalities, public services, as well as homeless emergency housing projects. So thank you for scrolling down. And again, this will all be outlined in our annual action plan. Next is $285,525 in our ESG program, as you see here. And our proposed funding is for homeless street outreach and rapid rehousing for people experiencing homelessness. Next is our home program, proposing $3,352,652.40 in home funds for affordable housing needs. And that includes the construction of a new affordable rental housing, new affordable home ownership, as well as tenant-based rental assistance, which you see as TBRA in there, for people with disabilities and people living with HIV/AIDS. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, or AHTF, as you see as we keep scrolling down, we are proposing today $700,000 for a first-time homebuyers program, more support for affordable homeownership housing, funding support for our continuum of care, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing programs for people experiencing homelessness, as well as the Your Way Home program. I'll give it a minute to come back up, and I'll keep describing as we go along. Further on that list is our HAP program out of the state's Human Services Block Grant Program, and proposing $529,154 out of this program to support homeless emergency housing, as well as a SOAR program that connects people experiencing homelessness with Social Security income. And then $1.25 million in housing reinvestment partnership funds to also support the construction of new affordable rental housing for people with disabilities. And finally, $1,693,055.25 in CDBG-CV dollars to support increased street outreach for people experiencing homelessness, increased legal support for those facing eviction, support for the move of the county's only 24/7 year-round single adult emergency shelter to a new location, and support for the increased needs at a local food bank. All in all, this totals $11,562,549.65 in assistance to our community, funds which will benefit persons of very low, and moderate income in our county. Again, these proposed funding allocations will be available for review and public comment beginning Monday, June 6th through July 6th. We look forward to engaging with the community around this. Once comments are received, applicable modifications or changes may be made, and I plan to come back to you all on the July 21st Board of Commissioners meeting for final review and approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Silver. I take it we're having some internet problems. Okay, so are the folks online cut off? All right. Well, everything, but I think the gist of your message was heard. So I will put a motion on the floor. I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, hereby authorize the 2022 annual action plan, including the attached list of proposed projects for funding under the Community Development Block Grant, Home, Emergency Solutions Grant, Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and the Housing Reinvestment Partnership programs, as well as the amendments to the program years of 2015, 16, 18, and 19 annual action plans to be available for public comment for a period of 30 days beginning June the 6th, 2022, and ending on July the 6th, 2022. For the public hearing to be conducted through virtual and electronic means as necessary on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. Be it further resolved that the public comment will be accepted by the Board of Commissioners until July 6, 2022, with final action on the 2022 annual action plan to be taken on July the 21st, 2022. Submission of the 2022 annual action plan to HUD will be made by August the 12th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next up, authorization to apply for emergency solutions grant funding.
Great, thank you. And we can remove, I don't have any visual aids for this, so hello again, Commissioners and staff. Kayleigh Silver, Administrator for the Montgomery County Office of Housing and Community Development. Well, I'm so pleased to just have presented earlier on making available for public comment over $11 million in funding for community development, homeless projects, and affordable housing. I also recognize that our resources, including resources for people experiencing homelessness, do not yet fully meet the need that exists in our county. The Office of Housing and Community Development, in partnership with the Your Way Home Public-Private Partnership, are always looking for more ways to leverage and gain funding to support people experiencing homelessness to regain housing. And I do want to say that Your Way Home continues to make strides in solving homelessness by embracing a housing-first approach. The housing-first approach helps individuals who are unsheltered or sleeping in an emergency shelter find permanent housing without preconditions or barriers. It then connects them with the community, health, human, and financial services they need to prevent future experiences of homelessness. This program is called Rapid Rehousing, and since Your Way Home's launch in 2014, we have assisted 1,872 households, consisting of over 3,000 people, exit homelessness into housing, many through this program called Rapid Rehousing. So to continue to support this program, I'm here to request a resolution to approve our funding application to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth's Department of Community and Economic Development, or DCED's, funding opportunity for their Emergency Solutions Grant Program, or ESG. Our application will be submitted to request $300,000 to support the continued funding of our rapid rehousing programs delivered by Your Way Home's regional housing resource centers. If our application to DCED is approved, this ESG funding will help us continue our rapid rehousing programs in 2023, which we do leverage with other funding, including our own entitlement of HUD ESG dollars. Thank you for your consideration of authorizing our DCED ESG application.
Thank you. I will move that the Office of Housing and Community Development, on behalf of the County of Montgomery, is hereby authorized to file the necessary documentation with the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development in connection with an application for 2022 Emergency Solutions Grant funding in the amount of $300,000 for the purpose of funding the county's Your Way Home Rapid Rehousing Program. Be it further resolved that the county hereby authorizes the expenditure of $300,000, which represents the 100% match required by the grant, to be paid using local funds from the Affordable Housing Trust. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative vote? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Right, we have next An authorization to accept the return on environment study, which we heard a little bit about in opening comments. We have Ellen Miramontes and Gale Hartman. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, commissioners, colleagues, and members of the public here today. I'm Ellen Miramontes, and I am a senior trails and open space planner with the Planning Commission. I'm here to provide a very brief summary on the recently completed Montgomery County Return on Environment study. And I'm joined by Dulcie Flaherty, Vice Chair of our Planning Commission Board, Bill Hartman, Manager of our Trails and Open Space section, and Steve Ray of eConsult Solutions is also joining. You can see him up here by Zoom. So first off, you might ask, what is a return on environment study? Well, it's a report that quantifies the value of protected open space. And these values are in terms of both savings and earnings and avoided costs. So first off, just a tiny little bit of introduction and background to how this study came to be. So back in 2011, the first return on environment study that was done in this region was completed by DVRPC together with Green Space Alliance, and it was called the Economic Value of Protected Open Space in Southeastern Pennsylvania, and it covered Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia counties. In 2019, just a couple years ago, DVRPC came to us and solicited our interest regarding the opportunity for an update that would use new data and be focused just on Montgomery County. And we said we were interested. So in 2020, they pursued and were awarded a DCNR grant of $19,000. Montgomery County then matched that with an additional $19,000 for a total project cost of $38,000. In February of last year, 2021, we began work on the study, and we worked in partnership with DVRPC, eConsult Solutions, Steve Ray and his team, and a 32-member advisory committee, which was chaired by Dulcie Flaherty. The study took about a year to complete and was wrapped up this past March of this year. So I'm going to run through a very quick run through, give you some of the big takeaways from this study, and then we'll be available for questions. So next slide, please, Kelly. So our starting point is, this is a map showing the existing protected open space here in our county. This is where we started from. Next slide, please. And so you can see currently there's a total of 46,022 acres of protected open space. And you can see the majority of that is municipally owned at 36%. And basically protected open space includes public parks and trails, preserved farmland, privately conserved land through land trusts. It's land that is protected in perpetuity. So next slide. So this study assessed the economic value of that currently existing protected open space in these 4 areas that you see here. So home and property values, economic activity, environmental services, and direct use benefits relating to health and recreation. So we're going to move through each of those 4 areas, and I'll just give you some of the big highlights. So next slide. And we'll look first at home and property values. Next slide. So the methodology here isolates the portion of the market value of homes that is attributable to open space proximity, holding all other factors constant. So this study looked at homes within that first quarter mile of open space, within the quarter to a half mile, and then also that half mile total. Next slide, please. So here might be a little tricky for you guys to read, but you can see on the left, the bolded number there, $11,319, represents the value for each home within that half mile total that is attributable to its proximity to open space. And then in the graph on the right you can see that also within that half-mile band of protected open space, that that homes see a 2.95% increase in their total home value. So now we'll move on to economic activity. Next slide. And next slide again. And so for this area, in economic activity, 3 categories of economic impact were looked at. So these 3 just listed here: protected farmland, protected open space, the management and maintenance of it, and open space related tourism. In the next slide, we'll show you a few of those numbers. So here's a summary of those economic impacts, and you can see moving around the circle, protected farmland has an annual impact of $8 million and 195 jobs associated with that. Protected open space has an annual impact of $112 million and 940 jobs associated, and open space related tourism has an annual impact of $39 million and 420 jobs associated. So those are a few quick takeaways for that. Now we'll move to environmental services. Next slide. And once again, next slide. So these are the 6 categories of environmental services that were looked at. People also use the term ecosystem services. And the 6 categories are there on the left, ranging from air pollution removal down to carbon sequestration and storage. So the next slide will provide a summary of these numbers. And you can see from this quick circular summary there on the left that $31.6 million in environmental benefits is derived each year from the currently protected open space that we have in our county now. You can see the highest benefits are related to water supply at $15.6 million and flood mitigation at $7 million. And on the right, you can see that the trees that exist within Montgomery County's protected open space now store 570,950 tons of carbon, which equates to 97.4 million in the lifetime carbon storage benefits. In other words, if the carbon stored in those trees was released into the air today, it would cost $97.4 million to mitigate. So now we'll move to direct use benefits. And next slide again. Okay. And so here, I'll just read very quickly through some of the bullets. As we know, preserved open space provides values through the recreational activities enjoyed on that open space. And those values are determined, in this study, are determined on a consumer's willingness to pay for that recreational experience, what they might pay at a gym or some other way to get that experience. Essentially, the amount of money that residents save by not having to pay those market rates to partake in recreational activities provided by open space. And so in the equation down below, you can see that the total annual recreational value of that protected open space is calculated as $219 million per year, which then divided by the number of households in our county is 680 per household per year in our county. Next slide. So I'll also take a real quick look at healthcare cost savings. And there's, as it says, there's a positive relationship between the number of recreational activities available to an individual and the frequency of their participation in that physical activity. So using specific data, the study reports that, as you can see below on the left, there's a total of $467 million in total annual healthcare cost savings resulting from that protected open space. And the biggest savings you can see on the right there are indirect medical cost savings at $166.2 million, and lost, on the far right, lost productivity savings at $242.5 million. So then I'll do a few quick summary slides here. You can move to the next slide. There we go. So here's some of the big numbers you can see for property values: $8 billion added to the value of the housing stock, as we talked about earlier, 11,300, the increase in the value of each home, and $48 million in annual property tax revenues. Economic activity, $160 million in total economic impact associated with that open space, 1,555 jobs supported, and $48 million annually in salaries. And just a final slide relating to the two other areas, environmental services and direct use benefits. 81.6 million annually through the provision of environmental services, 97.4 in that lifetime carbon storage in the trees, 10 million in the annual avoided in annual stormwater system operation and maintenance, 180 million avoided in annual stormwater pollutant removal costs, and for direct use benefits, 219 million in annual recreation benefits for residents, 225 million in medical costs avoided, and 243 avoided in lost productivity costs. So that's the completion of the slides, and just a few notes. Now that you've kind of seen the findings, the message, you might think, where do we go from here? So our next steps are really to get this study's message and the findings out, developing a web page with all of this information and data assembled in one place, developing a short video, a summary brochure that we're working on in-house for folks that don't want to read the whole study, assisting municipalities to establish local open space funding programs, one-on-one meetings with local officials and representatives, essentially a collection of communication strategies, all with the goal of increasing and accelerating open space conservation efforts. So in conclusion, by means of the resolution before you, we are asking for your acceptance of the study and a commitment to use it as a guide for future recreation and conservation decisions. Thank you, and the three of us are all here, happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you. Well, let me get a motion on the floor. I'll move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, hereby declare that the return on environment study and related materials are acceptable to the county and will be used to guide future recreation and conservation decisions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Oh, really terrific work. This is obviously a lot of work. And I hope that we really can get this out there to help our residents understand where their support of these efforts goes, not just for their own personal enjoyment and because it looks nice, but there are all these other very quantifiable benefits from this work.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's very exciting to see this.
And I'd really like to give a call out to the whole team involved. Dulcie led an amazing 32-member advisory committee who is extremely engaged. Steve Ray did a wonderful job with all of the data and pulling all of the information together, and DVRPC led the charge. So it was a great effort.
Steve, it's nice to see you again. Thank you for this effort.
Thanks, Commissioner. It was a pleasure to work on this.
Good, and Dulcie, thank you again for your leadership in this.
Well, it's wonderful because we know people care about this with their hearts. Now we give them the information.
Right. That's right. Very good. One question. I know that several of our municipalities in the county are working to pass their own open space funding sources. And is it, obviously this would apply to them in aggregate, these numbers, but is it possible for a municipality to get a sense of what this means for them by using this data?
To have it calculated? We don't have it calculated by municipality. I know that has been done in other regions here in Pennsylvania at that level, and I know Worcester, they did a return on environment study as well. It was a little different approach. So there would not be a way that they could somehow divide it by 62 or something like that.
But at least we'll have the big picture that they did.
Yes, it's by the county level. Yeah.
Commissioner, you could roughly apply the averages to some of this, those amounts. I wouldn't take it as perfect, but you could roughly apply the averages to get a rough estimate.
Yeah, I would think if you knew obviously how many houses you had in your municipality, you could extrapolate from there and some of those things.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, great.
This is great information, terrific work. I intend to support. Dulcie, good to see you again, and thank you for your leadership in 32 member task force. That's
Yeah.
great. But thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all as well. It's very interesting, and I'm always interested in how it impacts the property values in Montgomery County when we preserve open space. So I think it's important for the public to be aware of all the information you shared today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, if there's no additional comments, we will move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, Mr. Bonner, some next steps on COVID-19 testing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you this morning are two resolutions. The first is a license agreement with our building management at our Human Services Center building located at 1430 DeKalb Street here in Norristown. This resolution will authorize the County Department of Assets and Infrastructure to enter into a license agreement to make use of a 684 square foot space for use by our Department of Public Health for operation of a COVID testing facility, replacing the one that was formerly located outside. This amendment will, with our landlords, will make sure that we can operate the space going forward and establishes the fees and the licensing costs through the end of January 31st, 2023.
I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to execute the necessary documents to enter into a license agreement through May 31st, 2023 with SHDC DEKALB Investors LP for leasable space for the operation of a COVID-19 testing clinic for a licensing fee as set forth in Exhibit 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bonner, is there, if we found that we did not need this any longer, are we able to cancel this lease?
Yes, Commissioner, we are able to vacate the space in cooperation and coordination with the building management. So
Okay.
yes.
All right. Any other questions?
I'm going to request a roll call vote. I've been against the sales leaseback agreement with the county and the landlord of this site for several years now when a prior administration entered into this sale leaseback agreement. I don't believe from a financial standpoint that the county benefits from the terms, and I'm opposed to this agreement.
All right. Hearing no additional comments, we'll move to vote. Ms. Washington?
Chair Arkoosh.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawrence.
Aye.
Commissioner Gale.
Opposed.
Motion carries. All right, next, an authorization to enter into an amended storage lease agreement for public safety.
Yes, so this resolution is similarly related to a lease that we have with, at this time through the Department of Public Safety for 500 Virginia Drive in Fort Washington. As you would recall, this board approved entering into that lease via resolution in January of this year. Part of that lease, which was approved at that point, included an allowance for tenant improvements. The Department of Public Safety, in coordination with the landlord, and based on the physical improvements that are needed for the space that we lease, is utilizing the supplemental allowance that's included in the base lease agreement. And so this resolution simply authorizes the revised change in the cost of the overall lease schedule as we move forward. These improvements were planned and are in line with what was approved during the original base lease. The change here is simply the cost of what the construction is coming out to, and so we're tapping into the additional allowance that's allocated in the base lease agreement.
I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to enter into an amended lease agreement with Alliance HP Virginia Drive LLC for leasable space at 500 Virginia Drive for a rental fee as set forth in Exhibit 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bonner. Next, we have a commissioner's appointment to the Montgomery County Prison Board of Inspectors. I will move to appoint Mr. Vernon Steed to the Montgomery County Prison Board of Inspectors for a term that will begin immediately and will expire on June 2nd, 2025, serving at the pleasure of the county commissioners and in accordance with the current duly adopted bylaws. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. I do just want to comment, and I do intend to support Mr. Steed's appointment, that he will bring an individual to the Prison Board of Inspectors with lived experience. And I think that will be an extremely important perspective to have as part of our County Prison Board of Inspectors. Any other comments?
I would just like to point out the lived experience that this individual brings is 32 years in state prison for murder. So I can't support this, and we'll need a roll call vote.
Then we will move to a vote. Ms. Washington.
Chair Arkoosh.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawrence.
Aye.
Commissioner Gale.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Ms. Pardieu, personnel list.
Good morning, Commissioners. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioners Department's personnel list. It is a 3-page document dated Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, with a timestamp of 11 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for consideration.
Thank you. I will move to approve the June 2nd, 2022 personnel presentation as given by Director of Human Resources, Ms. Donna Pardieu, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Ms. O'Malley, advertisement of a bid on an RFP.
Yes, we have a bid on behalf of Assets and Infrastructure for bridge rehabilitation. The successful responder will provide rehabilitation services for County Bridge 99, located in Green Lane Park on the Procurement Trail over Procurement Creek in Marlboro and Upper Frederick Townships. Contract will be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. 2 is an RFP on behalf of Assets and Infrastructure for establishment of a list of project design and enabling service firms. Successful respondents will be placed on an on-call list of professional design, study, and analysis service providers in the architecture, engineering, construction management, cost estimation, and surveying fields. RFP will establish a list of pre-qualified firms for small and scope-limited projects wherein a design or study effort is needed to enable decision-making or to supplement a longer-term effort, providing county operations with pre-qualified professional design and enabling services to be used across multiple county projects. Responses will identify cost rates and qualifications areas of expertise, which will be in effect for 5 years. All RFPs and bids are available on the county's purchasing website at www.montcopa.org/purchasing.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding request for the advertisement of a bid in RFP as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next is awards of contract for the county.
Yes. 1, contract award, Assets and Infrastructure and Public Safety, Vehicles, Whitmore Ford Incorporated of Mount Joy, PA, $143,000. The contract provides 5 2022 Ford Escape SUVs for use in the county motor pool and public safety. Vehicles are available through a PA CoStarz contract. 2, contract award, Assets and Infrastructure Equipment, Deere and Company of Cary, North Carolina, $41,124.22. Contract provides 1 gator, 1 mower, and 1 loader for parks, trails, and historic sites. Equipment is available through a PA state contract. 3, contract award, Health and Human Services Consultants, the Devereaux Foundation of King of Prussia, PA, $61,008. Contract provides for a school mental health and safety consultant to assist with implementing the 3rd strategy of our Bureau of Justice Assistance Universal Impact Project to work towards stopping school violence. RFP 2218 was viewed by 28 providers, with 1 response received. Contract is awarded to the only responding provider who has met all qualifications of the RFP. Contract is for a period of 3 years with 2 optional annual renewals. All subsequent years past year 1 are dependent on grant funding received. 4, contract award, Assets and Infrastructure, Docks. Bob's Custom Docks of Branchville, New Jersey, $54,600. Contract provides 4 floating docks at Green Lane Park. Specification 6476 was viewed by 25 firms with 1 response received. Contract is awarded to the only responding bidder who has met all qualifications of the specification. 5, contract award, Information and Technology Solutions, Software. SHI International Corporation of Somerset, New Jersey, $75,891.40. Contract provides help desk software used for service request ticketing. Contract is for a 1-year period beginning August 15, 2022. Software is available through a Sourcewell cooperative contract. 6, contract award Information and Technology Solutions Consultant, Infor US of Alpharetta, Georgia, $50,440. Contract provides consultant services required to implement an integrated purchase card system within the current Infor Cloud Suite financial system. Services are proprietary. 7, contract renewal, Public Safety Record Management System, CSI Technology Group of Keysmead, New Jersey, $302,550. Contract provides a county-wide law enforcement record management system. System allows sharing of information among all county criminal justice agencies. Renewal is valid for the period of 5/14/2022 through 5/13/2023. 8, Contract Amendment Planning Commission Ridge Pike Improvement Project Reimbursement, Norfolk Southern Railway Company of Atlanta, Georgia, $18,186.13. Original contract provided reimbursement to Norfolk Southern for review of the county's engineering documents for the Ridge Pike Project, Section A, School Lane to Belvoir Road in Plymouth Township. Amendment provides the review of revised bridge design and drainage plans related to County Bridge Zero due to Norfolk Southern's bridge and storm water design standards. 9, Contract Amendment Juvenile Probation Monitoring Services, American Monitoring Services Corporation of Edgartown, Massachusetts, $53,000. Original contract provided continuous signal electronic offender monitoring services as per RFP 1838, the Adult Probation Office. Amendment provides the addition of monthly services for the Juvenile Probation Office for the period of January 2022 through May 2023. 10, Contract Amendment Planning Commission Supplemental Reimbursement Agreement, $400,000. Contract between PennDOT and Montgomery County provides a funding agreement reimbursing the county for the Ridge Pike Improvement Project Section A. Agreement allows the reimbursement to the county for right-of-way negotiation costs. 1, contract renewal, 4 contract renewals, and 4 amendments for health and human services. Providers and services are listed at the end of the agenda and the back of the room.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carried. Next, we have awards of contract under emergency procurement for Hurricane Ida.
Yes. 1, Response Services Amendment, Assets and Infrastructure Inspection Services, McTish, Kunkel and Associates of Allentown, PA, $12,802.70. Original contract provided construction inspection services for the Old Nefa Road Bridge over Swamp Creek, also known as Sunrise Mill Bridge, in Upper Frederick Township, as per RFP 2106. Amendment provides additional storm-related inspection costs and damages incurred from Hurricane Ida and an extension of the contract term through December 15, 2022. 2, Response Services Amendment, Assets and Infrastructure Engineering, Gannon Fleming Incorporated of Audubon, PA, $1,884.83. Original contract provided engineering, environmental permitting, and construction consultation for the rehabilitation of Old Nefa Road over Swamp Creek in Upper Frederick Township as per RFP 1920. Amendment provides for additional engineering and contract administration costs related to damages incurred from Hurricane Ida and an extension of the contract term through December 15, 2022. 3, Response Services Amendment, Assets and Infrastructure, Bridge Rehab, Loftus Construction Incorporated of Solderton, PA, $232,697. Original contract provided bridge construction rehabilitation for the Stone Arch Bridge at our historic site, Sunrise Mill, as per specification 6440. Amendment provides additional repairs revealed within the structure requiring increased masonry services and a final fixed amount unit cost rate adjustment to complete the structural bridge repairs. Amendment also provides an extension of the contract term through December 15, 2022.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, next awards of contract for the Southeast Pennsylvania Regional Task Force.
Yes. 1, contract award, Drone Services, Drone Sense Incorporated of Austin, Texas, $35,132. Contract provides a drone management platform for the Montgomery County Department of Public Safety. The platform will manage and interact with responding drones owned and operated by Montgomery County Municipal Law Enforcement and Emergency Management Agencies. Services are proprietary. 2, contract renewal, Cloud Services, DLT Solutions LLC of Clearwater, Florida, $96,000. Contract provides cloud services to support the Montgomery County Law Enforcement Records Management System. Renewal is for a 1-year term beginning 7/6/2022. Services are available from U.S. Communities Omnia Cooperative Contract. 3, contract renewal, hosting and support services, Geographic of Laurel, Maryland, $63,581. Contract provides Amazon web hosting and administration services for the Philadelphia Office of Emergency Management. Services are available through a PA CoStarz contract. 4, contract renewal equipment maintenance, LSAG North America of Greensboro, North Carolina, $47,988. Contract provides automatic license plate reader maintenance for the regional counties. Service is proprietary.
Thank you. I will move to approve the preceding awards of contract on behalf of the Southeast Pennsylvania Regional Task Force as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion carries. Thank you. Any closing commissioner comments? Okay, then I will announce that our next meeting will be June the 16th, 2022. And I will move to adjourn the June 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Move to a vote. Any negative vote? All right, meeting is adjourned. And we'll start salary board. Mr. Landauer, you're serving through the controller? Oh, there she is.
Morning.
Good morning, Controller Sanchez. All right, we will convene salary board. Is there any public comment on salary board? Nope. Okay. Then Ms. Pardieu.
All right, good morning, members of Salary Board. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. It is a 3-page document dated Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 with a timestamp of 11 a.m. Of note, we have 3 retirees. Darlene Kelly from Assets and Infrastructure after 26 years. Joanne Zioli from District Justice after 6 years. And Akaida Ekba from Juvenile Probation after 23 years. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for Salary Board consideration.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the June 2nd, 2022 Salary Board presentation as given by Director of Human Resources, Ms. Donna Pardieu, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lawrence. I think that was the second from the controller. Yes? Okay. Any board comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. Next is we have been discussing the very important need about salary increases for our employees. Ms. Pardieu, do you have any comment on this?
I do not.
Okay. Then I will just go straight into asking if there is a motion that effective June 25th, 2022, except as restricted by statute or otherwise by Resolution 94-C 756 or Resolution 06-C 290 relating to the salaries of certain elected officials, a pay increase of 3% will be granted to all qualified full-time and part-time employees. Qualified full-time and part-time employees for the purposes of this resolution excludes those employees who are members of a bargaining union, including those employees subject to a, quote, status quo, unquote, requirement, elected officials, employees otherwise covered by a separate agreement or resolution, and those employees who are active in the retirement process.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Lawrence. Is there a second? Well, controller can hear me today. All right.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I'm seconding it.
Okay, great. You're just breaking up a little bit. Seconded by Controller Sanchez. Any board comment?
Just for Mr. Stein, so we are working with the bargaining units so that this will apply to them as well?
Yes, we are in the midst of doing that for all the units.
And I just want to acknowledge that we know that this has been a really difficult time for many of our employees. These last couple of years have been difficult in so many different ways. And obviously, everyone is facing increasing costs in the grocery store and at the gas pump. And that this is an acknowledgement of those challenges and the high regard with which we hold our county employees and our county family. And that we hope that this will make some progress in making people feel comfortable and able to support and sustain their families. So if there's no other comment, then we will move to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Hearing none, motion carries. And I know we have a retiree acknowledgement. So Jesse King, on behalf of Darlene Kelly of Assets and
Infrastructure.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Jesse King, Department of Assets and Infrastructure. When HR approached us to have someone speak on a potential retiree, I was a little apprehensive because I'm only 8 weeks into the job with this department. So I didn't know if it was appropriate for me to say anything. And then they told me that it was Darlene Kelly. And I said, absolutely, I'm happy to say something because I've known Darlene since I started with the DA's office back in 2004. Darlene started her employment with Montgomery County in December of 1995, so years before that. What is remarkable about her career is not only that she's a fixture in the buildings of Montgomery County, you know, with the services and the valuable services that she's performed over 26 years, it's the interactions with the people that she has worked with and have worked in those buildings. So it's not just her own department, it's the interactions that she's had with the employees that come in and out of those buildings over that time period. On a personal note, back in 2004, you know, when I started with the county, I didn't know anybody. And I still remember those interactions with Darlene. You know, she took the time to give you a pleasant greeting. She was always friendly. She wanted to find some common ground so that you could have a short conversation in the hallway. Those things are really important to a workplace environment. With Darlene, I don't think that it was small talk. I would say that she had a genuine interest in developing these relationships and finding a connection, however small, with the people that she worked with. Think of that fact and then apply that to a person who has been with the county for over 26 years. When you think of all the people that have come and gone from the PD's office or the district attorney's office or the clerk of courts or any of the departments that are housed in this building, you start to get a feel for the impact that this woman had on the workplace environment in Montgomery County. We want to thank her for that. She didn't want us to do anything for her today. That's just the type of person that she is, so I'll keep this short. I know it's been a long meeting. But on behalf of the Department of Assets and Infrastructure, and I'm sure a number of other departments across the county, we want to thank her for her years of service and wish her the best in her retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. We join you in wishing her well and all of the other retirees. So thank you so much for those kind words. And with that, it looks like the controller's offline. Is that correct? Okay, great. I will go ahead and move to adjourn the June 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Any negative